This awesome study shows what every gay man already knows, that we change the way we speak to sound more or less gay depending on the social context we're in. But this study only appeared in 2020, so why did it take researchers so long to empirically show what we already know to be true? Of course, things like bias and stigma were a big part of this, but the main reason is that the phonetic cues that signal gayness vary from community to community. What makes a British person sound gay is very different from what makes an Italian person sound gay. What makes a New York gay sound gay is very different from what makes an LA gay sound gay. There are many different gay lects, so to speak. So this research conducted two studies. First, they tested whether gay individuals changed their voices when speaking to people who were supportive versus unsupportive of their sexual orientation in their coming out process. They recorded both gay and straight people as a control group and had them pretend like they were talking to people that either had been or weren't supportive of their coming out process. Then they had hundreds of participants rate these recordings as either being gay sounding or not on a scale. What I like about this setup is it avoids that problem of gay lects that I mentioned earlier. So all of the raters, the listeners, could decide what sounded gay to them based on the conventions and the norms of that community. Raters perceived these speakers as sounding more gay in situations where they were talking to someone that they had a comfortable coming out process with. Conversely, if they were talking to someone that was unsupportive of their coming out process, they sounded less gay to the raters. Of course, across the board, there was a straight categorization bias. So there was a tendency to categorize both straight and gay speakers as straight, just to different degrees. So the default assumption seems to be that people are straight for most people. Another interesting thing is that even the straight speakers were perceived as sounding more gay in the easy coming out scenario. The second study looked at a handful of YouTubers who had posted a coming out video on YouTube, and they compared the speech of the YouTubers before the coming out video and after the coming out video. They also used a control group of straight YouTubers who didn't have a coming out video, obviously, but matched them in pairs with the same age and gender. In this part of the study, gay speakers were perceived as sounding more gay after their coming out video. But that was especially true for the straight listeners who were doing the rating. The gay listeners who were doing the rating rated the speakers as gay both before and after the coming out video. That lends empirical evidence to the idea of a gaydar. Another really interesting implication of this study is it might throw a wrench in how we previously thought conversation worked between people who were close or comfortable with each other. Previously, we thought that people who were on good terms or comfortable with each other would kind of converge in their speech. They would come to talk more similar to each other. This study shows, though, that when gay men are more comfortable with someone, they actually speak less like them and more like, call it, their more authentic selves. So the whole study is super cool, and the original research article is also really accessible, so I'd highly recommend going and reading it, checking it out. It's easy to read, and I'll put the link in the description. Happy Pride!